And I am here with my sister Ann Dahl, and we are Drunk Sisters Review. Or is that?
Yeah, I think that,
we haven't entirely settled. It's something like that.
We're drunk or drunken sisters review. I can't remember which word we picked.
We are those things. All of them.
We are actually currently those things.
True story. So, we are drinking some Milagro, and mine is a margarita. And
for those that don't know what Milagro is, that's tequila.
Yes, yeah, it's Milagro tequila. Yeah, I said we're drinking tequila, right?
No, you said we're drinking Milagro. There's 2 shots in each of our drinks, and we already finished a bottle and a half of wine. So this is going to be interesting how things are going to come out.
We're probably going to give you spoilers today, because the more alcohol, the looser the tongues, and there may be the occasional cussing. I'll try to keep it clean, but my tongue does.
Yeah, we're talking about Wynona Earp.
For those of you who don't know, and you might not know this either, so Wynona Earp actually had a little over a year of a pause between season 3 and season 4. And my understanding of what happened is the production company went, and so they all went off and did different things. So like Tim Rosen, who plays Doc Holliday.
Oh, okay. I was going to guess Doc. Yeah. I didn't actually know his name.
He plays Doc Holliday. You might also recognize him. And I also recommend Schitt's Creek.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Lost Girl.
He's in Lost Girl?
Yeah, he's in Evil Druid.
I have to rewatch that now. We'll do that.
It's really hard to watch Wynona after watching Lost Girl and be like, oh, now I'm just going to see that guy.
Yeah. I recognize him very well, because you should look at him a lot. He's nice to look at. But anyway, Tim Rosen's hot, and I don't know how to pronounce his last name, and you
apparently
should watch all of the things
she
that
told
he
me
is
to
in.
do this show for this.
It's not actually Wynona and Waverly are the reason, because and the fact that I love Canadian B sci-fi such as Lost Girl. I mean, you don't get better than Canadian B sci-fi.
Okay,
love it so much.
I would say not necessarily that you don't get better, but it is good. Like, it's meant to be campy and cheesy, but enjoyable and well done at the same time.
For people who love Buffy, if you grew up, talking about the big bad and Mr. Pointy, and you watched all of Angel, and, if you've gone into that whole sci-fi world, if you love your sci-fi fantasy and you lived on it and you grew up on it like the 2 of us did, Wynona Earp, General Lost Girls is another one. I know we've said that quite a bit right now. I didn't even realize you'd watch that. It's so fun.
I've seen the beginning to end. I know.
We were talking about Roar before we hit record. If you know that stuff, like you grew up on that, then that B-level Canadian sci-fi just hits all of that and gets your neurons firing.
In case you didn't watch the first video, that is warning you, we are going to have a lot of diversion from what we're meant to talk about because we're drunk.
And we're sisters.
And we like to talk about all sorts of things.
True.
This is kind of how we talk when we're sober, too.
Yeah. We're not that drunk. We are not sober. No one's driving any.
No, I have a DD.
Mm-hmm. I'm home.
But we are drunk enough. I mean, because, as I said, bottle and a half of wine. And
drink responsibly, too.
Yes.
DD, drink water, eat food. We did have food.
But back to actually talking about Wynona Earp. Maybe Mary should give you an overview of what the show's about, because I am kind of having a lot of trouble keeping a straight thought on what I'm saying.
So, Wynona Earp. It's about the descendants of Wyatt Earp. And apparently Wyatt was cursed. So sad. And all of his descendants are forced to... how am I going to say that?
They're forced to hunt down the people that Wyatt is responsible for killing. This is not a serious show. There are serious things that happen in the show. Mm-hmm. For the most part, sort of. Everything
in the show, and I think that's the most fun. Wynona, who is the latest Earp heir, heir to the curse who has to try and kill all of what they call revenants, who are essentially demons. These people
Demon ghosts.
Yeah, demon ghost people.
Yeah, because they were the people who were alive.
Yeah.
And they became cursed too, so they're now sort of demons.
So every generation has tried to use Wyatt's gun Peacemaker to shoot each one to kill. They go back to hell until the next heir inherits the curse.
And it's on their something birthday?
Their 27th birthday, if the previous heir is dead, I think is the idea. And then they inherit the curse, and all of the revenants come back again. And they have, if the heir can manage to kill all, I want to say 77 revenants.
Yeah, I think that's about right. It was 77 or 78.
Yeah, then they break the curse, and the next generation is not gone. The revenants remain in hell.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe it's 78 or 79, because I think there was one heir that got 77, and he was like the...
No, there was I don't think any of them's gotten 77.
There was one that got a whole shit ton.
There was the 1 year wonder who shot like 60
and then
some odd
died
in 1 year and then got killed.
Yeah. But he did a hell of a job in that 1 year.
Straight. He took that job serious. So Wynona tried to escape. Wynona's had a hard life. And she was put into an asylum. And
her dad and her sister were...
Her dad was killed and her sister...
Yeah, so you find out in the very beginning...
We're not big spoilers.
Yeah,
like 10-minute spoilers.
Yeah. The revenants attacked their home when she was a child. Her and her two sisters were little. Yeah. And she is technically the middle child.
So she's not supposed to be the heir.
And the older sister gets taken by the revenants, and while the revenants are also trying to take the dad, Wynona tries to shoot the revenants.
But she's like 9.
And has no gun training.
And shoots her dad.
Yeah. So when she tries to explain that to the cops, she tells them about the demons, they think she's nuts, and it causes all sorts of problems for her growing up.
She basically deals with being treated like she's insane and goes very much wild child. So she's a bit of an alcoholic.
Juvenile delinquent.
Yeah, she's spent the last... No one really knows how long, I think
there are comments about her having been parts of certain gangs.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, so like they hint at it, but I don't remember if they ever show any proof.
She's basically the psychotic rock star we all dream to be one day.
Yeah, wish we could drink like her on a regular basis without killing our liver and failing to exist as human beings.
Yeah, she's got the smart comment. She's got she's a smart ass. She's a bitch and she's cool with it.
I will say, that show is not representative of responsible drinking.
It is not, no.
So we do not support that, but as far as an entertainment factor, we do support the show.
Oh my god, it's toxic. Yeah, so that's kind of the idea, is it's going into this thing, and she had tried to get away and her uncle dies. And she's coming back to the funeral, and the Earp curse hits her, and she goes back to her little sister Waverly. And that family unit, her and Waverly, are really the thing that carries the whole show throughout. It's about their sisterly love, about them finding each other and staying together, and really helping each other through the literal insanity of their lives. But it's sci-fi fantasy. That's the way it goes. And
I think Waverly has the cutest love story.
Mm-hmm. And in season 1, we also meet Deputy Dolls, who works for a secret American-Canadian I don't know, but a secret agency that is somehow connected to both the U.S. and the Canadian governments working together to fight supernatural beings. And the idea
is... The most unbelievable part of the whole thing.
Yeah, really it is. Honestly. You're sitting there going, okay. Well, that and the Ghost... It's so obviously Canada, because the Ghost River Triangle is which is where it's is in perpetual winter. The whole series is
I will
always
say,
frozen over.
They do really good at making it look like it's a Texas type almost grassland.
Where is it? Is this Oklahoma?
Maybe, but it has kind of like that deserty grassland look to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they do really good about that. I know that Canada has places like that, and a lot of people don't think of Canada as having places like that. So the way they present the town and all that, it really does look like an American Western.
Yeah, they do a very good job of immersing.
But yeah,
this.
I noticed that too. I was like, it's winter already.
Well, the only
and then it's still winter, and like 90% of the season's winter, and then you're in season 2 and you're like, winter again? Did we miss summer?
Yeah, exactly. I think it was probably somewhere in season 2. I was like, wait, it has never been summer here. They're still in like fur coats sitting.
It starts out at the very beginning. They're in short sleeves and jeans and all that, but so you're like, oh, it's winter already. I mean, I guess if time has passed, it makes sense, because they kind of give you that feeling like it's maybe
right. Yeah, you skip through time. There's no definitive saying like this was last week or this was. And it's one of those things where, yes, it's been 3 years, 4 now, 5 technically, in the series, but you actually don't really know how much time has passed in the series world. It's just like, stuff happened.
Winter?
Yeah.
Is this because, at the same time, you can kind of argue that those warm days were just those random warm days you get living in Midwest America.
I mean, in Colorado, yeah.
So, in case you couldn't tell, Mary's a huge fan. I like it too. I'm probably not as big of a fan, but I think it's definitely one of those good ones. I have watched the 3 seasons that are on Netflix, but it's been a while, and I've only rewatched the season 1 recently, so I may not be. I'm a little fuzzy on season 2 and season 3, though I remember parts of it and things I like. Like, I like the new character in the 2nd season. That's that smart guy,
Oh, yeah. The lab type guy. Yeah, he's really cute. And he has a really cute love story, too.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the thing with the Wynona Earp is it's not just about, like, killing the revenants. It's mostly about being sarcastic and witty, not gonna lie. Like, that's the main plot.
I think your comparison to Buffy earlier was perfect because it's more... It's one of those stories that even though it has all the monsters and everything like that, it's more focused on the dialogue and the character development like a Joss Whedon's production tends to be. If you like those kinds of shows and movies and everything, then you'll probably enjoy this because it is really witty, really sarcastic, really campy.
Not in like a...
Not in a bad way.
No, it's not campy, and it's not even campy in like a trying kind of way. It just is.
It's not meant to be a serious thing.
No.
It's supposed to be a comedy with serious aspects, so with fantasy aspects, but it's definitely more comedic.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Yeah, you can look at it, and that's kind of the nice thing about fantasy and sci-fi genres in general is that you can take these really complex emotional processes and you put them in a little bubble. And a lot of that sci-fi puts them in a bubble of like heroes and stuff like that. This one puts it in that bubble too, but it's mostly in the bubble of sarcasm and wit,
right?
And alcohol. And
I will also say that the first episode, you will not think it's meant to be more comedy than because the first episode's really dark. Never judge any show
by the first 2 episodes
because they're usually pretty bad. Actually, I wouldn't say these ones were bad, but they are different.
And you can feel that it's the way that Wynona fights in the first episode is completely different than the rest of the series. Like, she has, superpowers in episode 1, and then they really tone that down.
They're like, oops, we can't go far.
Yeah, that was really campy. And then I usually get introduced to my Canadian sci-fi while I'm doing other things, and I put it on, and then, usually the episode 1, you're like, well, I'm not turning it off yet. And then you kind of go on and all of a sudden you realize you stopped doing the thing that you were doing and you're just watching the show. And you're like, okay, this one I'm going to be watching for the rest of the way. And that's the way Wynona was for me. I think somewhere in the 2nd episode I was like, oh, I think I'm sewing. I stopped sewing and I've been watching the episode for much more than I've been sewing, so this is something I'm going to keep going with. Geez, there's so much to talk about with Wynona that I love so much. And it's part of that old school fantasy where each episode is its own little unit, but it ties together to the whole. And each season has its big bad that you go through, or even half seasons. Like, I don't have but that it all fits together. And season 1 through season 3, because I haven't gotten to watch the new season yet, and it's over now.
Right, I'm looking forward to when it shows up on Netflix.
Me too. It all ties together so nicely, which I haven't read the comic, so it's a comic too. If you guys don't know that either, I think at one point I was talking about Deputy Dolls.
Yes.
He's a good character. He's a very fun character. He's a bit of a stick up the ass, but that's part of the love.
Yes, he's supposed to be that stereotypical soldier guy.
Yeah. And he's a straight man to Wynona. Like, Waverly is her sister, and so she plays into it. Like, she's a little bit less drunk than Wynona. But they have that sisterly communication where you can tell. And I think that was one thing they did really well, and they did it really well from episode 1. Waverly and Wynona always had that connection, and that was the most important relationship to get right in those actors, which I think most shows, there's always that timidness that you see in the actors as they start to get used to each other, get comfortable with each other. Those two always had it together.
Yeah, the only other 2 people I can think of that played that sibling thing right from the start is Jensen and Jared from Supernatural.
Yeah, they did good too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't feel like in a lot of shows that people build that bond with one another, or at least fake it well enough to be convincing siblings. I sometimes wonder too if like one of the people in the process is the only child and therefore has no basis of understanding what is.
This is awkward.
This is what I think being a sibling is. Hey, sis.
Have you seen that all over the interwebs these days, where people are like, okay, single children who keep trying to write siblings. Hey, sis. Hey, bro. It's like no one does that crap. Yeah.
We actually used that word, and that one has shown up on one of the memes I've seen. And I was like,
munch.
Hey.
I don't remember butt munch.
Jenny liked using that one.
Yeah, I just... you just say hi. Like, you don't call each other crap. You just say hi. It's so weird that you have to, like, announce your relationship to each other. Did you forget?
Right.
Hi, sister.
Well, I mean, you did have the temporary amnesia rule.
I suppose it might work in sci-fi. Sci-fi and soap operas. Hi, sister. Do you remember me?
Do you have another concussion?
Well, Wynona Earp, the answer is yes. And I'm drunk, but I know who you are.
Right. So they actually would have a legitimate reason to be like, who are you? Right.
But I think they did good. They did really good with that one. Honestly, as far as casting goes, I think you have some of the least awkwardness. The story and the vibe of that first episode is very introductory.
I think they were planning on it being a darker, more serious thing, and then they were like, no. It needs to be funnier. This needs funnier.
I don't know. I always got the funny vibe.
It was funny.
I think they
like there was a silliness, but they really like. I was because I was rewatching it yesterday. I binged the first season yesterday, and
Wynona got less bitter feeling.
Yeah, but she had reason to be bitter.
Oh, absolutely.
But that first episode
and she doesn't lose
had like a really dark, really violent feel to it.
Yeah.
And if all of them had been like that, it would have been less comedic and more like a dark.
Yeah, that's true. Well, and so many, people like what's her name, Gus.
Yeah, that was one thing I was going to talk about too. Is that you got this feeling that she's going to be around forever.
Yeah, and then she goes.
She's gone.
Bye.
Save her shorty.
Yes, save her shorty. And it's like
all the old people, except for one.
Except for one. Yeah. He stays, and he's worth staying.
Yes, I'm glad they kept him. There are a few times where you're like,
and he's also the only one, like, he gives Wynona a hard time, but at the same time, when she's like, stuff's going down, he's like, I'm here. Even in episode 1, like, the sheriff is like, yep, we got this, and no questions, it doesn't matter. He's like, he gives her a little bit of a hard time, but at the same time, he's not discounting her. Versus like some of the other characters, like Gus, is just like, nobody wants you here, and is so negative that you're like, huh.
Right. Though I thought that because she kind of had like that motherly effect, and so I thought they'd keep her around to have that motherly vibe.
Right,
later.
especially once
like I thought they would have her kind of go away, but in that go away but keep coming back.
Right. Yeah.
And she just went away.
Get to episode 1. Remember, just look at it and go like, this is an episode 1. There's a lot of growth coming from this,
and there'll be more humor and a little bit less darkness. But it is demons.
It is demons, and they do some nasty stuff, but they do it funny.
Yeah.
There is a point in season 3 with Big Nose Kate. She comes back in that you're kind of just like, what happens? The dog storyline gets a little weird.
Yeah.
I'm hoping he gets some sort of redemption in the season 4 that I haven't gotten to see yet.
He didn't. So I have a little trouble remembering 2 and 3 very well, but I swear he had a little bit of redemption on the season finale.
Yes, absolutely. In the season finale...
Keep going. I just fixed the camera.
Yeah, okay. On the season finale, he definitely gets some redemption. Like, and that's a big part of what he's doing at the time. Is he following Waverly and doing that big cliffhanger that we had to wait over a year for.
I wouldn't say he plays a nice guy in Wynona either. He's not an all-around bad guy.
True, I guess he's not nice.
One of the things...
Doc Holliday wasn't
One of the things I do think interesting about his character as Doc Holliday is that, like, there is homosexuality and all this other stuff.
Oh, yeah, he's totally chill.
And he's just like, whatever.
He don't care.
You know, this is not... I don't even have an adjustment period on this.
I know. His brain is just, like, not important.
He's like, I never cared about this. Like, he never actually says anything about it. It just...
Now, the real Doc Holliday probably wouldn't have been that nice, but the real Doc Holliday actually was epically sarcastic, apparently.
Yeah,
like,
so it is
wondered,
possible.
because everything that Doc Holliday is in, like all of our modern stuff, he's always this like sarcastic asshat, and you're like, was he really like that? And like I read up on it a little bit, and like all of the historical record is like, yeah.
Yeah, my understanding is he was a don't give a shit kind of person.
Yeah.
And so it is possible that he really would be like, you're gay? I don't care. You do you, I'll do me, and that's all that matters.
I think there's probably a lot more people in the world and have always kind of been that way. That people, on the outside, they're like, it's wrong, but in the real life, they're like, I don't.
Right, yeah, so, and I do think that probably more people wouldn't have cared historically.
Right attitude.
Yeah, no.
But
I think we do create this social theater. And we feel we have to play into it, and so I think some of homophobia comes from that. I think some misogyny, racism comes from this social theater, and that people who wouldn't otherwise have these issues feel like they have to play a certain part.
Totally, in order to fit into the society they're in. Society does things not just to our children. Yes, we all do things to our children. If you're a parent, learn that you are gonna screw up. Accept it and try to mitigate it. But it's a society, we all do these things where we try to fit in, not just in society as a large, but each individual little social group that we talk to. So your work group, your friend group, your family group, you may say different things in all of those groups, and you may not even realize that you're doing it. It's called code switching. It comes in various formats. And that's our little societal lesson that it may not stay in this episode.
The one thing I want to make clear, since we're on this subject, when I talk about the social theater, I'm not using it as an excuse. It does not make the behaviors okay.
No.
It does not make it acceptable. It does not mean that they don't have to change.
Right.
It is explaining where it's coming from, and it's also, to me, I think that a lot of like base human nature is not. It wouldn't necessarily have to be as bad as it is, but we've created these societies where we idolize certain things that cause exacerbation of serious issues such as sexism, racism, homophobia, and all that stuff.
I think there's an important discussion both for the individual and for society at large to sit down and recognize where does it come from Why does it happen? What do we do? Is it good? Is it bad? And what do we do to change it to make it good?
Mm-hmm.
And people aren't always willing to have those incredibly uncomfortable conversations, both with themselves and with each other.
All right. Yep.
So that was a little breach. But Wynona Earp is awesome. And I do love it. I really do. It is my favorite sci-fi. Well, maybe not my favorite sci-fi. It's my favorite Canadian sci-fi. I think Buffy still lies as my favorite because it basically.
Firefly is up there.
It would have up there,
but it didn't last as long, so it didn't get as much.
It's the same. Buffy and Star Trek Next Generation basically formed my psyche.
I would say Star Trek Next Generation had a larger impact on me because it was my early years and it shaped who I thought I wanted to be.
I skipped church with Dad.
Yeah, that's it. If we were watching that,
Star Trek,
it meant we didn't have to go to church.
Yeah. Anyway, Wynona Earp is good. We digressed quite a bit at this point.
No, I mean, considering the subjects we were talking about, you could address the fact that Wynona Earp is still predominantly white, but though they do have
absolutely.
Some people in color, there are issues.
Predominantly white? Like, there's like 2 people in the show of color at all. Like, there's Dolls and then Big Nose Kate.
Right. Though I will argue, and I would say that it doesn't fix the issue, but little towns like that
are often
predominantly white. Here in Colorado, some of my extended family lives in little towns like that, and I will go to places where there are no people of color here in Colorado. And the people who grow up there do not encounter people of color until they leave that town. So it is not necessarily inaccurate for its setting, but in the greater scheme of media and TV shows and movies, it lacks the representation that you really should be seeing more often.
Oh yeah, and I think
they do a little better.
I think there are so many things that you can sit down and look at. I can list stuff that my children watch that you can sit down and say, like, this is a big improvement. We have, incredible role models and diversity in the show in general. But the main characters are still cute little white kids.
I say this computer's getting worse.
And so it's, I think that's definitely, that is a general issue that you can almost blanket statement for everything that we can possibly review as far as American media goes. Wynona Earp, you can definitely say when it comes to LGBTQ, absolutely there, women's feminism, all that fun stuff, that's all there. That's all put together, and I think they do a really good job.
Yeah, and I think they're trying
that format. I think they're trying to diversify because they have his name I can't remember, which is bad. I'm sure, especially when you're trying to talk about people of color and you forget the character's name. The lab tech guy.
Oh yeah, and because
so
I love his character, but it's been so long since I've watched the second and third season, I can't remember his name either. I really can only remember the main 4
he's
right now.
So stinking cute. But he, he's a wonderful character. He's intelligent, LGBTQ. He's in there. There's a lot of good stuff that goes on in the storyline. Yes, diversity is a problem. I think you can argue, like you said, that they're in real small town America, middle America.
And you'll notice that a lot of people who aren't from Purgatory, which is the town they're in, are people of color or are transgender, or not transgender, but LGBTQ. They are, you get more of that representation from people coming from outside in.
And what I would say that's nice to see in that context is I'd like to say that most of those characters of color are not bad guys.
Yeah.
Dolls is a good guy.
Right.
And he's a law enforcement. He's good law enforcement. He's a good person.
Though they do fall into a lot of those magical best friend situations. Yeah. But that's a little hard too because pretty much everybody in this
is magical.
Yeah, so
so there is that. And it ain't perfect, but I think there's a lot going for it, and of course there's places it could go further.
So I think it's better than average. We're not to where we need to be with it, but we're not where we need to be with anything. But yeah, it's definitely one that's trying a little bit harder than others. But yeah, I wanted to tie back in what all we had been talking back to Wynona, so that's why we went into that.
Yep. Yeah. So I think that's pretty good for Wynona. We're actually gonna say goodbye now.
Yes. Wait. Before we say
What?
bye, you gotta say things like, please like the video.
Like the video.
Please, if you would like to see more videos, hit subscribe.
Subscribe.
If we have created a Facebook page by the time I post this video, there will be a link below, so please go there if it's there. If not, then we may eventually do it. I don't know. We'll decide on that eventually. And please let us know in the comments what you liked, what you didn't like, what you'd like to see. Please don't be mean.
Respectfully.
Yes. If you're mean, we're not going to listen to you.
Because you're not worth listening to.
But we do accept constructive criticism. We may not be able to say it when we put a few drinks in, but we accept it.
Too many syllables.
And honestly, if there are things that you think would help us do this better, we're okay hearing that. We may not do what you say because that's what you do with advice. Take what you want, leave the rest behind.
We're on a budget.
Yes. We're on a budget of 0. This is stuff that we already had, and yeah. So, and I don't have a job, and she works part-time, so...
The alcohol has a higher budget than production.
But yeah, so we'd love to hear from you, suggestions on things you'd like us to review, but remember, we're going to be drunken, we may not stay on topic.
We might be drunk when you read your comments, so clear, clean typing is handy. Because we're elder millennials, and we don't do shorthand as well as you younger people.
I'm teasing on it.
I don't do it. I'm an old person in a youngish person's body, so...
I'm a youngish person in an old person's body. I fit in really well at the university.
That's why we do well together with opposites.
We'll call this one done, and stop rambling on for now, and we'll ramble on in the next video, and hopefully you'll come back. So, our camera may have frozen up, but hey, bye!
Mommy loves you. Shut your mouth and go inside.